The arm rotates due to the wrapping motion. So, right? Is this something that wraps around by itself instead of wrapping it around by yourself? Please pull the string and wrap it around. You'll create the grip with. Good morning. Shajiritsu This is Mr. Takahashi. In advance. Yes. If you spread your arms and legs, you are the strongest. How to use the technique? I would like to introduce everyone to. I would like to introduce a specific method that even beginners can easily use to create a strong yet soft grip until the very end. Shares stable accuracy and the way to open a strong bow. Based on the philosophy of archery and Zen, I would like to deliver to the world of archery. There are many people who are troubled about their hand positions. This is my theory on Kyudo. This is something that was said by someone watching my YouTube. It's about being conscious of your strength. Please refrain from the method of pushing the bow. I want to ensure that in Kyudo, the final pushing force comes from the result of having opened the bow with both hands. You have to do it that way. You really need to push hard. It won't happen that you hit all the way to the end. I think everyone has experienced something like this. You pull the bow like this, and then you pull it back. The arrow flies forward like this. There are times when it unexpectedly jumps up like this. If you can't push through to the end. So this happens. I will fly forward like this and then to the right. This is when I grip too tightly. Or, if the left shoulder can't push and ends up going this way. If the arrow flies backward. So, the fact that it flies forward. This is caused by issues within this hand. But the idea of a method to remove the something. Root. There is a literature that I would like to introduce. A document called the Banshu Bamboo and if you can remember this content, your skill in archery is improving. Last time, I introduced the technique of the hand position for the neck of the cormorant. In the explanation of this bamboo grove, it's completely different. I would like to explain this from a completely opposite energy perspective. If you remember this, you will be able to push the bow more strongly starting tomorrow. So please give it a try. Let's go with that. The content this of the three poisons. It's about the content of the three poisons. What exactly is the content poisons? It is thought that 3 poisons reside in the thumb, ring finger, and little finger. On top of that, I would like to introduce the inner workings of the hand. I would like to introduce a little content. It is all about the various feelings that are contained within 5 aggregates, revolving around and closing in various ways. Well, it could be a public transmission, but the public transmission of the 3 readings refers to the true meaning of those complaints of appetite. 3 readings to be understood through public transmission, while the thumb presses against the base, which is the essence of the hand. The term open and close refers to the strength of Wu, which is primarily a tool of strength. The open and close is done by pressing the little finger and ring finger together like this. The upper part opens, while the lower part closes. The heart, appetite, true intention, and complaints represented by the little finger. True intention by the thumb, and complaints by the index 3 vulgarities referred to as fingers are detailed in the correspondence. The content of this in a manner that elaborates the details of the ring finger and thumb, which are known as the 3 poisons within the hand. This is the content of the hand. But everyone, whether you study the content of the hand through books or learn from the teachings of high-ranking archers in Kyudo, it is something that applies to everything. Whether you are aiming or opening a strong bow, what is the most important thing in the content of this hand? If you can understand this part of the theory, you will come to know exactly what you need to do with your hand. The root of it comes from here. After stating the content, if you properly understand what the 3 poisons really mean, you don't really have any particular worries about the inner working, and there's nothing much to learn. This is the umeji in terms of what's inside the hand. Requesting to reveal the law of Mr. Miron, what's inside the hand is not so as well in your hands. As I mentioned, there is almost no way to align your fingers when you're being pinched. That's why there's really nothing to learn. I want to articulate why that is matter of hand. In any case, the answer to how to make that you can push strongly and also hold it softly is already determined. The answer to that is to create a state of balance that is neither too tight nor too loose. I think this is something that is often said. Having a grip means holding too tightly, but I've been told that if you loosen up it's not good for movement. This is related to the world of archery. The terms are stretching, but stretching too much and becoming rigid is also not good. I've also been told that too much is not acceptable in archery. It seems like if you do too much, It's bad,
It's
and if
also
you do
bad.
too little,
So people
you
often
need to
say,
find just the right balance.
I think even high-ranking archery
instructors often say this
because it's all about finding that just
if
right
it's too
balance.
loose, that's not good. But then again, if you're not conscious of it at all, that's also not good.
Well,
or
from
so
the
they
perspective
say.
of the person being taught,
I think they'll be scratching their heads,
wondering which one it
Let
actually
me provide
is.
you with the answer. I'm not saying anything particularly
Let's create a
difficult
state
here,
of grip that is
tight
neither
nor
too
too loose. In other words, the answer to how to create a strong yet soft grip is
It
simple.
means to
with
open.
energy. The reason why everyone struggles to create this
That
grip
is
neither too tight nor too loose is that they tend to try to tighten it too much with their fingers, or loosen it too much with their fingers. And they try to move it like this.
It's a story
like
about
this,
struggling.
and like this. Just the right balance. I also have the movement of letting go of my fingers. This is a movement where the fingers are moving on their own. And it's about tightening the way I move them is different because I'm consciously tightening my fingers. Opens is determined by the
grip
energy
is
and
determined
stands
by the energy.
In other words, how the bow enters the hand determines the grip. It's not too tight, and there is no movement to tighten or loosen. If we think about how the bow enters and exits, we can understand the meaning of not being too tight or too loose. Yes, it means holding
With
the
this
bow.
energy perspective,
Well then, I would like to introduce a very
easy to understand
from the
example.
perspective
The slope
of initiation is very
Slope
easy to
initiation
understand.
refers
to please hook your little
and ring finger
and
like
then your
this.
thumb will move. In this state, instead of pushing from yourself, try pulling the bow. Instead of pushing from yourself, when you pull it, the bow rotates like
When
this.
it rotates like
the
this,
little finger and ring finger are wrapped around the bow. The movement of wrapping causes
rotate,
the arm, right? So, this isn't something you
around
wrap yourself. Instead of wrapping it around
Please
yourself,
pull
the string and wrap
which
it,
means
you create the position
your
of
right
your hand. The state of your hand will naturally be determined by the movement of your right
This is
elbow.
neither
tightly secured nor loosened.
So it becomes a matter of control.
It's just
right?
this. With this, the control is being established. So, the way this is created, which is about how it is made, is what is verbalized in the content of the three poison hands. To briefly introduce the content of the three poison hands, the thumb and index finger are involved. The index finger naturally spreads outwards. In this way, spreads out on its index finger. The reason is that the arms spread outward. It's because of the bow that they spread out. Yes, this is not difficult at all, is it? If you move the bow this way, the arms can move, right? So, how do we move it? It's just a matter of moving it by hand. Yes, so if you do movements like this, so, fingers don't just tighten like this. By tightening it this way, you create a state of your hand that is neither too tight nor too loose. And this is how you tighten it. And this is how you release it. And this is how you release it. For example, you are in the correct posture. The pelvis is lifted. You see the buttocks drop down. Once you create a posture where the shoulder blades are lower, the more you tighten your little finger, the more the arm muscles naturally move diagonally downward. Your index finger like this, the easier it becomes to move this way. If your fingers come in while you're moving your arm, the arm wants to move like this. There's no movement to tighten. Moreover, there's no movement to tighten. I end up moving my arm. What happens naturally is that the middle finger is not involved, and it feels like the little finger and ring finger are touching. And after the middle finger makes contact with the index finger, the thumb somehow appears there. This is the ideal hand, created solely by fingers without using any strength in the writings of Takebayashi. I need to remember whether to open my fingers with First of all, I need to remember how to position my energy and posture. For example, I explained the 9 degree like example. When you're pulling a dream, you shouldn't tense your body too much. You shouldn't put in too much effort. And it's not good if your gaze shifts or if you blink too much. And it's also not good if your mouth moves. Perfectly fine if your mouth moves at all. If your eyes blink rapidly, it's about not to blink like that. If you try to keep your mouth from moving, it actually ends up tightening your mouth. When you put in effort, like the teachings of that storyteller, it becomes tense. So, if you ask why you can't in your eyes or mouth, it's because you're stopping your mouth with your own strength. Isn't it because you are stopping with your own power? If the direction of energy is set this way, then the line of sight won't go like this. It will stretch straight out. If your gaze goes up, it's harder to blink. The reason is that it gets pulled like this. The muscles in your back get pulled like this. So in that sense, it's about the movement of the kinds of movements. The movement of the eyes changes depending on how the bow is drawn. This type of hand is the same. Hand also moves like this on its own. Movements like this or like that have almost no meaning if you're conscious of them, while the bow is moving strongly. Even if you have this kind of awareness, if you are not able to push the bow straight, what you would do is try to firmly point your thumb straight. However, at this stage, the bow requires an enormous amount of energy. A tremendous amount of energy is being generated from the core of the body, where energy is coming from the core, and you try to apply pressure with your little finger. Your way of pushing. The bow was already misaligned at this stage. I thought about trying to fix it by changing the direction of the push. The axis here is misaligned. And to elaborate, even if it is misaligned like this, then the arrow will fly backward. If you do it like this, if you ask what happens like when you jump where backward, you make some adjustments. From the perspective of the axis, the shoulder shifts while the stomach shifts towards the resulting target direction. In a bad misalignment, it will definitely not hit later on. So please don't apply unnecessary force. Please don't apply unnecessary force. It would be simpler if you just jumped back because your body is shifted even this way. I think I should correct it this way. If I develop the habit of tensing my hands there and my body axis if shifts I get into the habit of a force like this, my left shoulder ends up tensing when the abdominal muscles are also in a very tense while trying to pull the dream. It results in completely missing the target. Doesn't become beautiful at all. Rather, the more I practice, this is often said by people who are learning the art of bowling. There are people who, the more they practice, the more their skills and the less they are able to hit. What is the common point here? Normally, if you move a lot, your body shifts like this. According to a high-ranking Judo instructor, like this is how I do it. You put an effort to arrange things neatly, right? If the axis is misaligned, it would be easier if it just flew towards the misalignment. So when the movement to correct the shape comes in, the stomach shifts this way. The shoulders end up shifting in the opposite direction, which might hit the mark. But in terms of form, the muscles are applying a very unnatural amount of force. One becomes worse. This will become worse and later on. It will become worse later on. If I were to use drawing the bow, it would lead to a bad direction. So it's better to shoot it forward. The way the tension in your hands is applied can be reduced if you correct your body's axis. For example, a high-ranking Judo instructor might say it would be better to do it this way, or it would be better to do it that way if you just cut out that part. It seems like it could be fixed, but from the perspective of archery, it was taught incorrectly. It went in a bad direction, leading to a complete lack of accuracy. However, even if that happens in high-level responsibility, the reason it's getting worse, without taking any responsibility, is that they are convinced it's the fault of that person. Even though it's my fault, I end up in that kind of situation, so I try not to put too much effort into it. First, I talked about how to bring, for example, when taking the third practice method where you put in strength and then gently release it to rotate. First, starting from like this helps you develop the feeling of your hands fitting into the bow, so it's better to do such things. When we consider the perspective of this energy that I mentioned earlier, it becomes clear that, for example, putting in strength or spreading out almost meaningless. The reason is that the force of lowering produces a much greater opening power than just pulling with the arm muscles. This is how you generate the power to open. When you combine your hips, you can generate even more power even if you apply force to point your toes and thumbs like this. Well, even if you fiddle with various things while the bow is already in motion, it won't lead to a significant change in your shooting form. Rather, misalignment of your body's axis. So I recommend not doing that. Doing such things, I think you should stop immediately. Incorporating that won't really increase your accuracy. Allow you to create a beautiful form unless you change your energy and posture. Your way of drawing the bow won't change, and you won't be able to release the tension even if you try to implement a form that appears to release that tension. So, with that in mind, I think it would be good to change the way we handle the bow. I believe that realistically improving one's skills in archery would be beneficial. Well, This time, regarding the method I would like to introduce a little more. Relax your strength when launching from the slope. When you pull with your right hand, the bow comes into your hand, and by shaping your hand from the way you move, you create the form of your hand. So I think it would be better for the pitcher to move their right elbow to make it easier to get a feel. I would like them to try this kind of movement. Lower the shoulder blades. Also, relax the muscles in your buttocks. Come together, the muscles in the right and left arms will automatically rotate bending forward and or just by bending the wrist like this. If you teach the principles of Kyudo that involve from a high-level practitioner, it won't work at all. I might get injured, and it's because I pushed too hard. I ended up injuring my thumb. I developed tendinitis. I see there are people who have hurt their shoulder. After this, if you get injured, no one will take responsibility for it. The teachers of advanced Kyudo, and even if you get these things, there's a sense that it's somehow your own responsibility. But they don't really make you aware of that. I just simply think that the person is practicing too much, and that's why they're not doing well. And all of that includes the problems that arise from it. Even though teaching Kyudo is something that they don't understand that either. So what should those people do? I hope you can watch how to draw that in the context of Kyudo. Well then, this concludes the content of this video. I have a present for everyone this here. Time, I introduced the detailed usage of the techniques, but there are still various aspects. There are still many things to discuss. This time, we have prepared materials that summarize the various in the left hand. We have prepared a document that compiles various methods. This is the content I would really appreciate it if you could download it. The way I use the muscles in my left hand is based on well-organized materials. The third method will become overwhelmingly better with just this material. I hope you will also check this out. Continuing on, I would like to share beneficial content like this. Everyone, please give a high rating and subscribe to the channel. Materials for this time can be easily obtained by registering online. So I hope you can get those as well. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I would appreciate your support by pressing the like button and the new subscribe button on YouTube to help raise awareness of theoretical salary. Thank you very much.